All right, it's 3 o'clock. We'll get started. Today is the September Knoxville Transportation Authority meeting. To kick us off, Mr. Lawhorn, will you weigh in on a determination of a quorum?
We have 6 members present. We do have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. Next on our agenda, hello?
Just make sure everything's working.
So far, so good. We haven't broken it yet.
Why don't you just park there?
But stay nearby, because, yeah, we've pressed all the buttons, maybe not all at once yet. I'm kidding. I think we got it, but you can hang out if you want. Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes from our last meeting, August 24th. Does anybody have any discussion or questions regarding the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, need a second?
Second.
Second, and any other discussion about the minutes from August? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. Next is reports from the chair. I don't have anything to comment other than to welcome a newest member of our body. You have anything you want to say? Introduce yourself.
I'm Rick Whitted. I'm from the University of Tennessee, transportation manager there. Happy to be on this board now.
Thank you. You have big shoes to fill. You told him the same? It's true.
Chair Smith, let me correct my math. I
Okay.
can say we have a quorum of 6. We do have a quorum, but we do have 7 present. I think
do have 7.
We do have 7.
Thank
so
you.
if the recording secretary will correct that.
Please do. Math is important. All right. Any other commissioner comments? Sometimes folks have something to raise. Does anybody want to say anything? Commissioner Durham.
Yes. So I have 3 things I wanted to bring up. I don't know, since I'm obviously new to this game, I'm not sure if this is the official way to do this, but so let's start off simple. So I was walking here earlier. One of the things that I noticed was that made me think. So obviously, one of the things with Cat Reimagine that people have been kind of bringing up is they're sad that the trolleys are going away, which we know that the service isn't. It's just, kind of pulling off the bells and whistles and all that stuff. Would it be helpful, since we are having a downtown connector, to just keep 1 or 2 of the downtown connector shuttles with the bells and whistles on it as a trolley? Has that been discussed? I mean, to me, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is the service. But I know that there are some people who that's kind of a bummer, and there's just something about seeing the trolley, the look of it. And I didn't know if having, just 1 or 2 buses that ran that route stay looking like that could maybe help allay some of these fears that there's all this change. And maybe that was already looked into. I personally don't know.
Director Thorne, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I would. I think this was brought up in comments or maybe at one of our public meetings, but the hard part about keeping those trolleys is there's no flexibility for us for mainline. So we don't, right now, we really try not to put a mainline bus on a trolley route or a trolley route on a mainline bus. So it presents a operational and efficiency issue of keeping them, because we can only use those trolleys on trolley routes. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Second thing I wanted to bring up.
Well, can I just add to that?
Go ahead.
There was, I've had a few questions about repurposing the trolleys. I think there's some legal limitations to that. Can you speak to that?
Don't know necessarily legal limitations. Those trolleys, they're just a regular bus. I can't remember the term that you use, Belinda.
Makeup.
Makeup, yeah. It's a bus with makeup on it. So we're taking off that trolley package off the sides of the front of the bus. The top will remain the same, but it is just a bus with a trolley package.
Okay, but I think you mentioned to me that we have to use certain vehicles to the end of their useful life, and
yes.
then what happens to them? Can you explain that?
Then we dispose of those buses through auction. Yeah,
Okay.
but the FT, because there's federal and state money in those, we have to use those buses for 12 years, 500,000 miles.
That's what I was referring
Yeah.
to. Yeah, okay. Mr. Lawhorn, did you have something to add?
I was just going to add that what you can do with these vehicles, both while used and how they're disposed of, are addressed typically in the grants that authorize the expenditure. I don't know if after their useful life, I do think they have to be put to auction, so that, if it goes through an auction and they could possibly at that point, if purchased, but they do have to go through an auction.
Yep. And at this time, none of those buses that we're currently using and trolley service are past their useful life. We're going to use all those buses. We're going to take off the facade, I guess, the makeup, and use them on mainline routes. So we're not disposing of any of those buses. We will be using them with CAT Reimagined.
And what happens to the makeup?
Well, we could try selling it. That may be what we end up doing to other agencies that have those trolley packages.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Okay, the second thing that I wanted to bring up, and this isn't necessarily like a motion I'm bringing up, it's just food for thought. One of the things that I have encountered both being up here on this stage as a commissioner, but also being in the audience during things like city council meetings and specifically planning commission meetings, I'm a big proponent that, our system, we're public servants, and so we should do everything we can to make this as accessible to as many people as possible. One of the things that ticks me off about planning meetings is that they are a Tuesday at 1 o'clock. A lot of young people, a lot of working class and poor people can't make it to those to express their input. I know we're not as sexy as planning, but I would just like to posit that we consider moving these meetings in the future from 3 in the afternoon to something like 6 o'clock. Because, I think every one of us here chose to serve on this committee because we want to make the city better. We want to make transit better. We only meet once a month. I don't think even any of us would complain giving up, a few hours in an evening. But I think even if people don't show up, I think the bare minimum that we need to be doing in a democracy is making it as easy as possible for working class folks to show up and give their input to these meetings. And I'm lucky that I work for a nonprofit that allows me to leave work early. To serve on the committee, I can't even imagine what it would be like if I wanted to give my input on a transit system and I worked at a Walmart and they wouldn't let me come. And I just think that's something that we should, in the next few months, potentially put up. I think Thursdays are fine. But again, I think once a month, it's not breaking anybody's back to show up at 6 instead of 3. But I think that if anything, the symbolism of saying, hey, we care about every person in this city being able to show up and express their opinions on transit, I think that's very important. So that's my second comment.
Can I just comment on that?
Sure.
Yes, please do.
I just like to comment that there are some of us with childcare responsibilities that start their bedtime processes at 7, which does, I have to keep the button down, which does, our unpaid jobs start at 5 p.m. for some of us. So please keep in mind that there are those of us who have more flexibility during the day and less flexibility at night.
Sure. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to, negate that at all, which again is why I'm not necessarily bringing up a proposal. But I just know that it's something on my heart to make sure that we're at least open to some form of change in the future. Maybe it's not 6, maybe it can't change. But I just want to make sure that this is something that we're aware of, because I know just as a citizen, it's a real bummer to me when there's something that I care about and I want to show up to, but I can't because of my job. Again, not that having a family isn't also a full-time job, and I'm not trying to negate that. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because I am very single, so I do not have the commitments that a lot of people do. So that's a good discussion. I appreciate that. And then the last thing I was going to bring up, and I know this is kind of contentious, but I think that we need to, if not necessarily as a commission, directly make a statement on this. I think in terms of this new missing middle housing proposal the city is bringing up, we need to, at minimum, just be on the forefront of reminding people of the intersection of transit and land use. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean we take a position for or against it, but that we remind people that transit does work best with a certain level of density, walkability works with a certain level of density, and that in order for our new bus system to work the best, the way that we zone our land has a direct impact on that. Again, I don't know how that looks, but I just think being aware as the city moves forward with this proposal, we need to make sure that people understand our view of things when it comes specifically to transit and how transit works. So those are my things.
Thank you. I'll just add on that. I do know that the current missing middle proposal by the mayor has Cat Reimagine's network overlaid on top of it. So I do know that that's been considered. In fact, transit seems to be driving the housing plan as opposed to the other way around. So that's great. And I think you're wise to bring up that intersection because without public transit, we can't get any more housing in the places we need without congestion. That's the trade-off that we're trying to avoid. So anybody else, those are good comments. Anybody else have anything to add on those or additional comments of your own?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'd first like to welcome Rick. Welcome. It's nice to see a new face. And I was just wondering, is Mark still a member, or has there been a change of makeup?
I have replaced
This is the new Mark.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted clarification on.
Commissioner Whitted, this is your first meeting, right? Unless I missed one, yeah.
Okay, great, wonderful. Well, welcome.
Mark served as chair at least once or twice and on this board multiple times.
Multiple times
Yeah.
as chair.
Yeah.
And he sat in Isaac's seat for many years.
Yeah.
So he'll be missed, but Rick, we are confident you'll raise the bar.
May-
I
may
guess if
Mark,
you didn't know, he took a job in North Carolina.
Oh, he did, okay. Well, he'll be missed in multiple ways. Anybody else have any comments? All right, moving right along. I'll pass the mic to staff. Director Thorne?
Yeah, I just have three updates. So as the board may know, route performance and system performance report for August is not in the packet. We had our employee had a medical emergency last week, and we are working through that, but we will have a route performance, system performance report for both August and September in next month's packet. Highlight here for hiring, we had a class in September. We launched a new CDL prep class, and we hired in 30 operators, which started in September. So we are staff's looking at basically bringing back some of the service that we reduced last August back into the fold, and we will have a detailed plan for you probably at the next meeting for the board to vote on. So it's exciting news for us. We're trying to get back to full service. We've had a lot of success with the CDL prep class and getting a large class in. So we're still working on our workforce, trying to reach our workforce goal. So that's awesome. Obviously, that's great news. And then the last thing is I just want to introduce Tony Pierce. He is our new manager of finance and grants. He just started with us on Monday. So congratulations, Tony. Those are my updates.
Okay. Any questions from any commissioners for Director Thorne or staff? That's good news. I mean, the more progress we make towards full capacity in Cat Reimagine, the better we are ready to roll into that when the time comes.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to get back to full service before Cat Reimagine launches. That's the goal we're striving for, so.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Mr. Burden, do you have anything to speak on today?
I don't have anything today.
Okay. Any new business from any commissioners or staff? Mr. Lawhorn, are you aware of any? Okay. Any old business to resume? And I believe Ms. Valentine is away. Do we have any speakers for public forum? No speakers. Okay. Everybody's here just to watch and say hi? Yeah. Seeing as though you're our only speaker, if you would come to the mic and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 5 minutes. sorry, just a second. This is a new, yeah, no, this is brand new, so we're not even sure how to work what you're using. Yeah, yeah.
And then you'll press that off. So you're able
Okay.
to speak now.
Now you're
Michelle
rocking.
Dresch.
Yeah, we got you now.
427 East Oldham Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you.
37917. I have a cab company here in Knoxville, and I had a couple, well, first of all, there's a 10-year limit on operating a vehicle as a cab if it goes on at 8 years old. I have two that went on at 8 years old, but this would be their last year. I didn't have use of them though for 8 and 9 months because they were in the transmission shop, so I didn't know what I would do about getting an extension to maybe use it in 11th year, or at least the amount of time I didn't have it this year.
Okay.
Apparently, the rule that says that there's a 10-year limit or so is copied from Atlanta ordinances or something back in 1954.
Okay.
So I'm not sure even, that's what I learned when I was trying to figure out why we have an age limit on the cabs in Knoxville.
Okay. Typically, this is just a kind of a one-way commentary to us, but what the heck, we'll give it a go. Mr. Lawhorn, are you aware of this ordinance?
I am more than happy. I am somewhat familiar with the regulations. I'm not counsel to the city of Knoxville, taxi inspector on that, but I can kind of maybe get you pointed in the right direction on that. So once we adjourn, I'll be happy to meet you over there on that.
They had directed me to you because they say you override anything, any decisions they make or something. So, or if you appeal it.
Let's talk and see if we can
Okay.
figure out kind of lay of land and maybe see if we can come up with a solution.
And Mr. Lawhorn, if you wouldn't mind following up with the commissioners afterwards, but maybe we're all smarter as a result. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any others signed up for public comment? Okay. Well, without any objection, our next meeting will be October 26th in this room at 3 o'clock. And this meeting is adjourned.